All right, I'll get started. Welcome to the public meeting for the Sugnet Road Extension Project. My name is Shane Bjorgi. I'm the Assistant City Engineer. Tonight's meeting will be conducted in a virtual format in compliance with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services epidemic order requiring social distancing. It is being held in accordance with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act and pursuant to a local state of emergency issued by the city manager for the city of Midland. So the meeting will begin with a short presentation by the city's consultant, Spicer Group, followed by some time set aside for questions and answers. At this time, I'd like to introduce the attendees on behalf of the city of Midland. We've got Mike Niederquell. He's the design project manager for Spicer Group. We have Tom Hoblet. He's the construction supervisor for the city. We have Grant Merschel, the director of community development and planning for the city. And last but not least, we've got Dan Deitch. He's providing our IT support for the meeting tonight. Before I turn it over to Mike, I just want to give a reminder that the purpose of the meeting is not to discuss the merits of doing the project versus not doing the project, as that's already been decided. Rather, we want to focus on the details of the construction project itself. And so that's our intent. And please adjust your questions accordingly at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mike Niederquell.
Thanks, Shane. Happy to be here tonight to talk to everyone about the exciting project in the city of Midland. As you can see on the agenda, we are going to go over a little bit of the project description, history, timeline, roadway design overview, and then we have plenty of time for questions and answers. Tonight's presentation is on West Sugnet Road Extension from Northwood Drive to West Main Street. This is a public informational meeting. And again, I'm Mike Niederquell with Spicer Group. I'm our Director of Transportation, and I will be presenting this project to you tonight. As part of a virtual public hearing process, we ask that at the appropriate time that you would unmute your device if you'd like to speak, and you'll be called upon in order to voice your question for the project. Well, Sugnet Road is located in the western portion of the city of Midland, as shown in the aerial photograph on my screen. The purple line segment is the proposed extension, which connects existing Sugnet Road west or east of Main Street to the existing Sugnet Road that is now in place between Northwood Drive and all the way to Dublin Avenue. So again, on my screen, Northwood University is south, just below the subject project area, and H.H. Dow High School is just north, just above the purple line segment. Here's another map of the area, this area of the city. This is an Mdot road classification map that shows different road segments ranging from US 10 freeway in purple to the Eastman US 10 business route, which is the red line on the right side of your screen, to local subdivision streets that are the thin black lines for local roads, as well as the darker green and yellow arterials and collectors, which are city streets. The subject project on Sugnet Drive is this dashed yellow line, which is an approved future major collector that is coming to completion with this project. So the West Sugnet Road Extension has been a multi-phase project. This is the third and final phase of the extension. Phase 1 was completed around 1997 from Northwood Drive to Whiting Drive that linked Northwood University with Saginaw on the north side. Phase 2 was completed about 7 years ago that continued the extension to Dublin Avenue. And the current phase we're talking about tonight is highlighted in red. That is what we're calling phase 3 between Northwood Drive and Main Street. So street construction. What's all involved in street construction? So this is going to be an asphalt roadway, so hot mix asphalt pavement, concrete curb and gutter on both sides, storm sewer consisting of catch basins and manholes, sidewalk ramps at the intersection of West Main Street will be upgraded with this project. It's important to note that this project is contained within existing City of Midland right-of-way, and it is following the existing water main alignment that was previously installed. Project timeline. Design is currently underway and will continue throughout the spring and summer. Mdot will be assisting us through the bidding of the project. The bidding will take place late fall of this year. Construction will begin in spring or early summer of 2022 and go during the summer season next summer, wrapping up by the end of summer 2022. Here's a picture of the existing intersection of Sugnet Road at Northwood Drive. So Northwood Drive is to the picture's left. Sugnet Road Extension will continue straight ahead. On the right side of the screen in the background, you can see the newer Northwood Village apartment complex. That's their driveway. So again, the roadway will continue or will start at this end. The guardrail and gate will be removed and the roadway will be started here, continuing eastward. We fly to the opposite end of the roadway. So now I'm at the Main Street intersection looking back west up the Sugnet Road Extension. So Sugnet is behind me and Main Street is left and right here. This will, again, the gate will be removed and the roadway will be continued through here. Here's a picture in the middle of this extension. The trees have already been cleared. The wetland has been mitigated. There is no wetland impact for this project. There's already a gravel 2-track base that was installed when the water main was installed. So this is the lay of the land for this project. Street improvement standards. So we've got many standards, guides, references, manuals that we have at our disposal. But this road will be built or designed and constructed according to the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. That's AASHTO. That is the policy on new road construction. Mdot has many manuals and guides and references as well, like I mentioned, that we'll be adhering to. And the City of Midland has major street standards we are following as well. West Sugnet Road cross section. So what will the cross section look like? What will the laneage look like? If we take a slice through the road, you see the layers, the pavement layers. The road will be built on a sand subbase with an aggregate base course and then the asphalt layers on top. See the curb and gutters on the edges, under drain where need be. The project lanes, there'll be 1 lane in each direction, 12-foot wide lane with a 4.5-foot wide bicycle lane on each side of the road. That is going to connect the bicycle lanes that are already in place all the way back towards Dublin Avenue. Project costs. Construction cost estimate is approximately $1.4 million. 82% of that approximately is coming from federal dollars. The remaining 18% is coming from the city local match. This project has been budgeted and been programmed in the TIP. That's the Transportation Improvement Program. This concludes our performed presentation for the project. Again, my name is Michael Niederquell with Spicer Group. My phone number and email address are listed. If you have any questions that you think of after this meeting that you would like an answer to, you can reach out to myself or Shane Georgi, the City of Midland. His contact information is listed below. At this time, we'll turn it over for public questions, and we can go back to any of these slides if need be, or review any of the plans that are available as well.
Okay, I see Jason Thomas had his hand raised. We'll go with Jason, and then a Susan Whites and a Katie Lyon.
Jason, if you would just state your full name and your address.
Jason Donald Thomas. I live at 3208 West Sugnet, pretty much right at Main Street. I was just curious how this is going to directly impact the existing roads, if they're going to at any means, because he said that bike paths are going to be conjoining on each side of the road. I believe there's only one on one side of the road. So are they going to make any changes to the existing roadways on either side of this extension, or is this just specifically for the extension?
This project is just for the area between Northwood and Main. The area to the west has the bike lanes. You're right, the area to the east, meaning east of Main Street, there aren't current bike lanes.
Is there gonna be a light put up?
Okay, that's all I really wanted to know. And I imagine it's going to be a four-way stop.
Good question. So the intersection right now is a one-way stop, meaning Sugnet has to stop at Main. A stop sign will be added on the new approach of Sugnet. So no, it'll be a two-way stop. Main Street will continue to be a through street.
Okay, thank you. That's all I really had.
I was just going to add, Mike, that we do have some sidewalk ramps going in, I believe, on the it'd be on the west side of Main Street at Sugnet.
Okay, that's the only reason why I was curious, because we live so close to Main. I didn't know if it was going to impact like where we're at and getting in and out of the driveway. So that's all I really had.
Yeah, should not impact Main Street other than maybe a little bit for the installation of some sidewalk ramps. So.
Okay, next we had a Susan Whites. Are you there, Susan?
Muted, excuse, sorry, I thought I had pressed on mute. I guess I didn't do it right. I'm Susan Whites, and we live at 5409 Sunset Drive. And my questions have to do with the flooding in that area. I did not quite catch what the HMA pavement really means, but I don't think that's the same thing as a permeable pavement, is it?
Okay, so you're right. HMA pavement is hot mix asphalt. So that's a standard asphalt roadway. And you're right, asphalt is, so to say, not permeable, meaning water hits the asphalt and it runs off to the curb and gutters, just like if water hits the concrete and runs off the concrete. So you're right, it's hot mix asphalt and it's not permeable.
Well, so are we doing anything? That area is already flooded twice. And it seems to me a terrible waste of money to be spending $1.4 million if we're going to have to replace all or a section of that road, you know, at some time in the near future. The last two floods were, 3 years apart. We don't know what the next 3 years are going to bring, but I would certainly have wanted to see landscaping and construction material that are being used so that to the extent that it is possible not to have to rebuild that road in the near or more distant future based on flooding, we don't have to.
Understood, and I can try and address that question too. So the roadway is being built flush with the existing terrain. It's not going to be, built up above. So there's not going to be any chance of, let's call it head cutting, where you're going to erode away at the curb or erode away at the asphalt. It's going to be, like I said, built flush with the terrain. That being said, as well, there's no drainage courses that cross this section of roadway. The drainage outlet is a storm sewer system at the intersection of Main and Sugnet, which then leads to the Sturgeon Creek. So without having a point source, meaning a river or creek or stream, I just don't see the flooding possibility ruining the road as easily as where you have a bridge or a culvert or water's channelized into a specific area.
Is this a question the federal government would ask before they put money into it? Are they putting 82% of the funding required into this road? And when things go bad during a flood, very often it's FEMA that has to pay some of the rescue bills. Does the federal government ask this? And if so, have they been satisfied with your answers?
So the federal government is involved through Mdot on this project.
Right.
And also we are coordinating with EGLE, that's the Michigan Department of Energy, Great Lakes and Environment. We've submitted for the EGLE permits, and we have not completed our coordination with Mdot. So Mdot will be reviewing the plans, and if they have modification requests, then obviously we will address their concerns and do any modifications to the plans that they suggest. And Mdot has a representative that works with FHWA, that's the federal branch of the Transportation Division. So we will be checking those boxes as we go as well.
So they were aware that this area had flooded twice in just a 3-year time period?
Well, I know Mdot was obviously very heavily involved in the flooding last May on the 5-county area, including the city of Midland. So I'm sure they know about the flood potential.
Yeah, in concept, Mdot is aware of this project began back in the 90s and is going to be installed in 3 phases, 2 of which have already been installed. So this is the 3rd phase. So Mdot is aware. And then I just also wanted to add that as Mike stated, the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy is also aware of the project. And as Mike stated, we submitted a permit application to EGLE. And part of the route is also in a floodplain. So that also comes into effect under their review of our project. So it'll be reviewed thoroughly by at the state level for certain.
That's exactly what I wanted to know. That part was in the floodplain, and therefore, how does everybody else feel about it? We're spending this much money if it needs to be replaced again in relatively short order. Thank you.
Okay, Katie Lyon was next.
Hi, yeah, my name is Katie Lyon. I live at 6007 Plumtree Lane. And my question has to do with the accessibility for pedestrians. We live west of the section that is going to be completed. We're very excited that it's finally on the calendar. Having lived here before the section between Northwood and Dublin was completed. And we've noticed that segment is heavily trafficked by pedestrians. And I was just wondering longer term if there are any plans to put in sidewalk in addition to the bike lane, or if pedestrians are just expected to continue using the bike lane. Because I imagine there will be increased vehicle traffic and mornings in particular on the weekend, there are lots of pedestrians in the road.
Shane, do you want to address the sidewalk comment?
Yeah, I'll start. So we did consider sidewalks early on in the project, but we felt like the bike lanes would be better utilized, just based on where the 3rd phase connects from point A to point B. We felt like the bike lanes would be a better use of funding to install those. So the bike lanes were chosen for the project and budgeted for. The sidewalks were not. There is, if we decide to add sidewalks in the future, the city has a process to request sidewalks and to petition for sidewalks. So the addition of sidewalks is a possibility going into the future.
Okay, thank you. I don't use it as a pedestrian, but as a driver, I was just curious because, like I said, it is heavily trafficked. But like I said, I'm very excited that this is finally on the calendar. My husband and I have been calling and asking about it for years, so thank you.
Okay, I think Ron Parmalee was next.
Yes, I had just one question. If the local area is responsible for 18% of that funding, where does that money come from?
So the local funds, they come from a couple different sources. They come from road millage funds that we receive, and they also come from taxes, gas and weight tax, which are part of the cost of gasoline when you fill your vehicles with gas. So the local funding comes from both millage money and gas and weight tax.
The gas and weight tax, excuse me, is commonly known as the Act 51 share that is distributed to all the local agencies across the state of Michigan through the Mdot transportation funding formula.
Okay, next is Dan Hinton.
Hi, my name is Dan Hinton. I live at 6014 Sturgeon Avenue, just a short distance across Saginaw Road from this construction. I have to agree with Susan. The idea that anybody would have built a road in this area it boggles my mind, frankly. It's flooded repeatedly, and if someone was considering using this as a secondary exit from Northwood, that's a bad idea. But be that as it may, and even though I'm sure these funds could be used in a lot of other areas more productively, it does seem to be well thought out. But I do have one question with regards, in fact, in general, around the Midland area, and that has to do with the profile of the curbs on all these streets. They're a 90-degree angle, and if you happen to have tires with a low profile, even a slight rub against a standard 90-degree curb is going to screw them up terribly. Has anyone ever considered putting in a 45-degree angle for those curbs? Thank you.
So I can start the answer here, Shane. So Mdot has a handful of standard curb shapes. The vertical curb face that you're talking about is commonly called a detail C or detail F curb in Mdot world. That's normal. And for this, it's all about the speed of the roadway too, meaning you would never put that curb shape on US 10 when you're traveling 75 miles an hour. There are a couple other different curb shapes that are mountable curb or a rolled back curb. Those again are typically for higher speed and intersections where you're expecting trucks to roll over the curbway. The other areas in front of guardrail, you have a mountable curb in front of guardrail, so you're not vaulting a vehicle over the guardrail. But the barrier curb is pretty standard, definitely across Michigan, and that's kind of just been how it has been, I guess. I understand what you're saying about the tires brushing against the vertical curb. Shane, do you have anything else to supplement?
No,
that?
I don't have a whole lot to add. So the city uses a standard curb detail that we've been using for decades. And part of the reason for that is to be consistent across the city and to have a consistent look across the city. We are starting to install some rollback curbs, as Mike called them, but we use those more in a neighborhood setting, you know, where the speed limit is 25 miles an hour or less. We just started seeing some of that rollback curb being installed by developers in the last, say, 10 years or so. But what Mike's pulling up here is our standard 5-inch curb and gutter detail. And as I mentioned, we've been using this for at least a few decades, maybe longer. And really it's for aesthetics and consistency across the city.
As opposed to practicality. And
I'm sorry that comment, it was not his turn to speak. The next one in line was Stacy Daniels.
Can you hear me okay now? Hello?
Yep, go ahead, Stacy.
Yeah, I'm just ecstatic about this. As I've said in the past for the last several years, I've been waiting for this since 1972 and live at 3901 Orchard Drive, which is on the west end of Sugnet Road, pointing toward Northwood. And I'm really excited to see that this project is finally getting off of ground zero. In fact, I'm impressed that you're so far along as you are. I had my arguments all posed to counter any people that are still an objection to the program, but this will take a big relief of traffic off of the west side of Midland and make it a lot more accessible to points north and to the folks down by the forks that try to go west and can't do it other than going by Saginaw Road or by West Main Street or River Road and places like that. I'm just really excited to see this happen at this point in time. Thank you.
Stacy.
Thanks.
Okay, at the moment, I don't see anybody with their hand raised. I say this up. Looks like Stacy Daniels has the hand raised again. Did you not finish your comment? I don't see. Oh.
Yeah, I'm unmuted again. I've been using computers since 1957, but Zoom conferences still have their challenges.
Were you done with your comments?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I would say this is the last call for comments. I don't see anybody unmuting. I think that is it for the public comments.
Hey, Dan, it appears that we don't have any other comments, but I'm going to hang out for a bit and just in case somebody joins in late. I just wanted to throw that out there that we'll be around for a while if somebody joins the meeting later.
Thanks to everyone for attending virtually tonight and for your comments.
Yeah, for those that are still listening, as Mike stated, if you have questions going forward, there's always the opportunity to ask those questions. You can call or email myself or Mike, and our contact information was provided at the end of the PowerPoint. So by all means, if you have questions going forward, feel free to ask those.
Okay, we have Katie Lyon raising hand.
Hi, another question about the sidewalks, just more in depth. since the original project shows the bike lane over the sidewalks, back in, I believe, 2015 on Dublin, they decided to put sidewalks in between Plumtree Lane and Saginaw Road. And the residents in that area were assessed for the sidewalks being put in. Since this stretch of road is not residential, if sidewalks were put in, would a part of that cost be assessed to residents that live near Sugnet, or would that come out of some other fund that the city has?
So ultimately, that decision would be up to City Council, but what's typical is the properties that front where the sidewalk is being installed would be assessed for those sidewalks. So that would be, if it was, so there are several properties that front phase 3 of the proposed Sugnet, and so those properties would be assessed typically for sidewalk installation.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Shane, so just to make sure I kind of understand, at this time, if anyone just has any follow-up questions, or if there's anyone that maybe is late to joining us, you're entertaining any of those types of questions now too?
Yeah, I'm just going to hang out for a bit in case somebody joins, say 10 minutes from now and has a question. I believe on the agenda, we stated that we would have a duration of the meeting from 6 to 7. So for that reason, because we had an end time, I'm just going to kind of hang out, and if anybody jumps on with a question, I'll be available. But if you need to take off, feel free, Grant. And if anything comes up for you, I'll make sure to route it over to you.
No, hey, appreciate it. I am planning on attending. I just wanted to make sure everyone that maybe is on the call is on the same page, and
Sure.
Appreciate you sticking around until 7. So those that are able or have joined us are able to unmute themselves if they do have follow-up questions. And I'll be planning on sticking around till 7 as well if there are any further questions on this too. So we'll probably have a bit of awkward silence if no one chooses to fill that with a question, but nonetheless, just wanted to make sure everyone understood what's happening.
We do have Stacy Daniels with a question. I believe there's a question, the hand was raised, and I've asked to unmute.
Yeah, does that work now?
Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, I'm still in the babes of trying to assess this particular Zoom conference. I couldn't see any list of participants or anything like that. Is that intentional? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Stacy. I'm not sure how the Zoom call was set up either, so I'm not sure if there's a participant list.
Yeah, there's normally a participant list that only the meeting host can see.
Yeah, that's why I was poking around trying to find that to see whether we had a cast of thousands out there.
And which is why the meeting host will normally direct the public comments and try and keep things, going in order.
I will still submit some comments. However, is there a particular deadline? I know you're going to post it for tomorrow or the next day or something for the rest of the week or the next couple of weeks or so.
Shane, we don't have a deadline for.
No, I think what Stacy might be referring to is our communications coordinator posted a place for people to comment on our website about this project. And so I think that place has been set aside for comments. So if you have any comments or questions, I believe they can be submitted through our website, or you can submit them directly to either Mike or myself.
Yeah, I saw that same notice and I tried to access it. It wasn't active, at least this morning. It wasn't.
She may have deactivated it just prior to the meeting. But yeah, I see there's a few phone numbers and email addresses on the screen. So any questions, comments, or anything can go right to those spots.
Yeah, I know where to find you guys. I appreciate you taking the time.
Mike, I'm going to quit sharing your screen temporarily because you got like a COVID thing on there. You can always bring it up if somebody comes into the room. I'll let you know. Right now we have just 2 attendees in there, and they're free to make comments if they want to. Okay, Mr. Daniels has a question again.
Well, it's just a point of information here. While I was doing research on this particular project, I came across the National Registry of Historic Places registration for the Swartz House, which is down there, definitely in the bottom of the floodplain, and it had some interesting background, but I'll copy the address for it. It has some interesting background. When the Orchard subdivision was platted, the road stopped at the edge of the creek, and then Bob Schwartz had a little driveway that he drove to get to his house before the extension went to Main Street. Just a little fine point of detail, and I just thought you might be interested in that, so I'll provide that for further detail. Okay. I'll sign off now. Thanks.
We just had somebody join the room, Nancy Carney. We've unmuted you. If you have any comments on this, feel free to comment.
Hi, it's Nancy. I don't have a comment.
we've just had a Jeff Mutzel. I probably slaughtered his name. I apologize for that. That just entered the room, and I've given him the ability to talk if he has any questions. We got about 5 minutes left. Shane and Tom, if you guys can stop by the office here before you guys go home, I want to talk to you about the construction updates thing.
It looks like we've reached the 7 o'clock hour.
All right.
Sounds good. You want me to end the meeting?
Yeah, if you would, Dan, I don't Unless somebody has a last minute question, I think we're done.
Yep, we just have one attendee in the room right now,
Okay.
so I don't.
All right. Well,
Make
thanks
this comment.
everybody for attending and for your help tonight. And we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Dan. Bye.